I would like to go for the session two, the brief introduction about Vikram Chaudhary. Yeah. So Vikram Chaudhary, he is the founder and director of Operan Pharmacy Federation, which was started by him with a vision and mission to explore the different facets of pharmaceutical industry by supporting the causes and issues related to pharmaceutical education and healthcare professionals. So I would like to, so I will hand over the session to Vikram Chaudhary.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Now our second speaker is Dr. Vijay. Dr. Vijay is having a doctorate of experience in research and development with the generic pharmaceutical industry and presently working for the Bell Pharmaceuticals as a technical director. Previously, he is associate with Aurobindo Pharmaceuticals Limited and Granules India Limited, where held various positions in global compliance, new product development, and corporate quality assurance. He is the lead various therapeutic categories to USA, Europe, Canada, and Australia with their regulatory compliance, successful in the getting through the various complex molecules bioequivalence with the reference listed drugs. Dr. Vijay he completed his Bachelor of Pharmacy from the Kakatiya University, India in 2004 and went to the post-graduation in Master of Pharmacy in Fessenzel, Westingen, Germany, as it is more 1 year international program and not eligible for PhD, come back to India and completed his Master of Pharmacy from the Kakatiya University, then served for the various MNCs like Terident Life Sciences, Aurobindo Pharmaceutical Limited, Granules India Limited, and their research and development divisions for developing the generic formulations in different regulatory markets, while continuing the job and interest in the profile to hold and doctorate. He is registered in the PhD in JNTU Hyderabad. Now I request to Dr. Vijay to continue today's session.
Thank you for giving the opportunity to give a uh, webinar on COVID-19 pandemic, new challenges in pharmaceutical industry and the growth of pharmaceutical research. And in the previous session, already we have seen maximum of the drugs and their mechanism of actions towards the COVID, where the drugs are repurposed. I hope repurposed mean already the drugs which has been approved for the ailment of the other diseases. So that one we are giving, we are doing the challenge clinical trials for COVID-19 and using those drugs. I think it's audible, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Hello.
it's audible only.
Yes, Dr.
Okay.
Vijay.
Uh, Thank you. What is COVID-19? It is scientifically a RNA virus in which it is a single strand positive sense enveloped helical shaped virus, and it is a common virus which causes infection in nose, sinus, or upper tract of upper throat, and it has got 4 to 5 differently currently known infection in the women. That is most publicized is SARS COVID-2, that is sudden acute respiratory syndrome 2. And recent history for this is it was a novel coronavirus in 2012 before being like SARS, and was discovered in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, also known as MERS, that is Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus. And I want to discuss a small introduction regarding the symptoms and what are the transmission of how it transmitted and the coronavirus preventions. So symptoms are generally the fever, and mostly symptoms are seen after 7 to 14 days, and majorly like a flu-like symptoms, raise in the temperature, cold, cough or sore throat, uh, difficulty in breathing, chills, muscle pain, or newly it has been found that loss of taste or smell. And uh, how is it transmitted? Majorly, it was saying that or given the information in the web or the publications, like it has been transmitted from the bat. Bat COO is similar to that of the SARS, that is phylogenetically or genomically, and by human consumption in the China, it has been direct contact or intermediate host for the transmission of virus from the bat, and also from human to human transmission, and therapeutic strategies have been developed for prevention of the same, for curing of the same, sorry. And what are the barriers to the COVID-19 entry? It may be geographic, personal, or interpersonal. And the pathways to immunity or natural immunity, that is by taking the vitamin C, B12, vitamin K, as sir has been said, and uh, like having a better sleep, drinking more water, yoga, and all these comes into the natural immunity therapies. And next, coming to the vaccine, there are challenges going on in getting the perfect vaccine to prevent the COVID virus. And it can be transmitted by the coexistence, that is not maintaining the distance between human to human, and not wearing the mask when the person sneezes, or when the COVID affected person sneezes, and that has been inhaled by the other person, and the carrier host that gets the uh, COVID affected. And touching the surfaces or objects, and then touching nose and the eyes, ears, that may get eyes and mouth, that enters into the body. These are the main pathways where the COVID gets entered into the body. And how can we prevent? There are some tips how we can prevent the getting affected by the COVID. That is, avoid close contact, cleaning your hands often with the sanitizers or detergents, covering with the nose mask, and eyes for the and mouth, and touching. Do not touch the objects which are affected, and touch the face, mouth, nose, where are the pathways of the COVID entry, and a quarantine, that is stay at home. Okay. Now, I just want to say that what are the impacts or challenges that the pharmaceutical industries are facing at present. The COVID-19 pandemic may well be proved biggest challenge for the humankind since World War II, because it is the bio war. It may be said that it may be bio war, and this is the challenge we did not see it since World War II. Pharmaceutical companies will be the key to fighting to this disease that brings healthcare systems to their knees and sending the shockwaves to the economies across the globe. They have the scientific know-how, the management and the capabilities, and physical and technological capabilities to develop treatments and ultimately a vaccine against the virus. And for this, biggest pharmaceutical industries answer to this call is to double their strengths on developing the products that help and protect the public health to find cures to disease. On one level, it is endeavored to live up to this promise through massive investments in R&D for getting the clinical trials, research, for getting the drugs into the market. They are investing a massive budget onto this. And pharmaceutical companies armed with the intellectual property rights, and in many cases the right to set prices, have been developed, produced, and marketed products that have been made healthier. And for that, we have to be very much thankful to the pharmaceutical companies. And how the coronavirus pandemic has been impacted for the pharmaceutical industries. It may be lockdown triggered visible in the financial markets. Here is an impact analysis that have been made by searching different articles, information from the news and web, internet. One is the Indian pharma industries global standing, where it stands. The Indian pharmaceutical industry has been a world leader in generics, both globally and domestic markets, contributing significantly to the global demand for generics in terms of volume. India has seen increasing competition from the China, where it has been able to leverage due to its inherent cost advantage and manufacturing the intermediates and the APIs at the much lower cost than India, and which has been resulted in the gradual import of the same from China. And risk from Indian pharmaceutical and the China linkages, how it has been, how India is been dependent on China, because as it is producing the cost-effective intermediates and also APIs, which are more effective for the COVID, like antibacterials, antivirals, or these things. India's large import dependence on China is approximately 70% by its value, has become a significant threat to Indian healthcare manufacturing and global chain. Sorry. While India pharmaceutical players over a time period have steadily migrated up to the value chain to focus on value-added formulations with higher margins. But this over-dependence on China has increased the threat to the nation's health security. So that's the reason we are facing the risk now to get, and the cost effectiveness is coming down, where the cost of the products or raw materials are going higher. And the third thing is supply chain disruption for Indian pharma. Any disruption in supply chain of APIs and or the intermediates that are useful for making the COVID effective therapeutic drugs or the vaccines has been gone up due to the supply chain disruption. And relative stability or reasonable valuations. Indian growth has been picked up approximately 10% growth at the, by the time of March 2020. And the pharma has been relatively resilient to the COVID disruption and is poised to gain favorable tailwinds and a stable outlook for India and US business. And the fifth impact was valuation and risk. The sector trades at a 23 folds 1 year forward, then 10% below its 5 years historical average. That is a key risk or extended lockdown can impact demand and manufacturing. That is international import and traveling of it or something like. Delayed in US FDA plant resolution due to the travel advisory, getting the approvals from US FDA manufacturing sites and getting the approvals of it where the audits are not been concerned because of the travel advisory, and delay in the key approvals made the valuation and risk into the more impact. And impact on the big companies throughout the world, that is biggest pharmaceutical companies. As economies around the world are suffering from the impact of COVID-19, businesses are experiencing losses as only they are working onto the COVID formulations. And workers are without the jobs, and many face the challenges of the complete upheaval of the lifestyle. Only some pharmaceutical companies which are highly funded or already into the market and having the economically big background, they are working onto the COVID and their share market and their share values are getting increased. So that's the reason the other companies are facing the are experiencing the losses towards the, and also the jobs have been levied. However, pharmaceutical companies taking center stage into the COVID-19 fight, such as Gilead and Eli Lilly, are seeing positive growth into the stock markets. Whereas the experiences losses are AstraZeneca, which it exports a maximum of its products to the China, or the drop in the revenue due to its current economic position. China has been seen an area of a strong growth from AstraZeneca, making it more susceptible to revenue downturn compared to other big pharmas. And when coming to the Bayer, has donated more than 3 million chloroquine tablets to US government for use of COVID-19. This is not yet proved for use in the US, but the company is now working with the authorities for an emergency use of authorization. And Pfizer has also unexpectedly gained from the coronavirus, where it has been given the pneumonia vaccine Prevnar 13 has been seen unexpected jump in the sales, most probably due to the course of coronavirus, which in severe cases causes pneumonia with mortality rates. That's the reason the maximum of the sales of Prevnar 13 has been into the market. And Gilead, potentially the most beneficial and controversial of COVID-19 fighting drug makers, has
Yeah,
also made the
apologize
contribution to
to
COVID-19.
interrupt. Vikram, I think slides have been struck for the audience.
Remdesivir, Gilead's promising antiviral, has been given compassionate use program status and is one of the top ranked drugs to help battle the coronavirus crisis. So even it has been given the authorization to maximum of the Indian companies to manufacture, and given the license authorization to sell it in India by giving the royalty to them. Most Gilead has given license authorization to Dr. Reddy's, Hetero, Syngene, and ZS Cadila. Recently, it has been signed. As more trials take place and new emerging therapies are publicized, drug companies will be under pressure uh, for their own compassion regarding the drug development royalties. The concept of large profits coming from newly developed drugs will face increased scrutiny in the time of global pandemic as a result of public and competitive pressures. And coming to the drug development in COVID-19, internationally to date, several hundreds of drug companies, biotechnology firms, university research groups, and health organizations were developing more than 150 vaccine candidates and over 300 potential therapies for COVID-19 disease. And they are in various stages of preclinical and clinical research. The World Health Organization, European Agency, and United States of Food and Drug Administration, and the Chinese government of other drug manufacturers are coordinating with academic and industry researchers to speed up the development for developing the vaccines and antiviral drugs and post-infection therapies for the COVID-19. And coming to the drug discovery circle, uh, initially compound identification as a process of drug discovery, and coming to the primary assays, and in the in vitro, and coming to the secondary assays, like counter screens, bioavailability, toxicology, and also metabolism, etc. So once the laboratory research on microorganisms and the animals are done, and positive results are there, regulatory filing towards the investigational new drug will be continued to initiate the clinical studies or clinical trials on humans, and then obtaining the new drug application. So for this total process from preclinical testing in the laboratory to the clinical trial development for vaccines or for drugs, it may take more than a decade. it may take more than a decade. So, how the new chemical entities are given approvals? And for this, I've given a small chart, like a timeline for the drug evaluation and what are the investigational new drugs and the phase 1, 2, or 3, and the FDA review and post-approval studies and full availability into the market. So, initially, standard approval process is for approximately 0 to 8 years, where it may take, depending upon the drug molecule or the vaccine, it may take 0 to 15 years or 10 years or 12 years. So, I just taken 0 to 8 years as a standard, and the standard approval process is initially investigational new drug application gets to that and approved by the Food and Drug Administration, and then phase 1 trials. In phase 1 clinical trials, it will be on the human volunteers for determining the safety and efficacy. And phase 2 trials, it is a- initially it is efficacy of the new drug and further safety of the same in the small number of the people in the disease targeted people, the two. And phase 3 is large pivotal studies to determine the safety efficacy in the large number of people with the drug affected and if proved, the NCE advances to NDA and begin the marketing. So now standard approval takes 0 to 8 years after FDA review and the post-approval studies and then the full availability into the market. But now expanding access has been taken in between to find the new, how the FDA gets approved the molecule to the pharmaceutical industries. That is parallel track and the treatment of investigational new drug. In the phase 2 trial itself, it gives the limited availability into the market to get uh, the targeted COVID patients to get treated. And then second one is the treatment in the investigational new drug. This starts from phase 3 onwards, and then if phase 3 is successful with the limited availability, it is successful, and the FDA reviews and gives authorization of the molecule to get the full availability into the market. But now, with the emergencies of this COVID, it has been accelerated the procedure in that approved based on surrogate markers and telescope trials, in which in the phase 1 trial itself, the limited availability of the drug will be there, and it is tested or clinically proved on in the different hospitals and given the approvals as is. And emergency authorizations has been given starting from the phase 1 trial itself for the drugs to be available in the market to treat the COVID patients. And as I've been explained, the clinical trial phases also, phase 1, 2, 3. And in 3, it is the trials are large and pivotal studies to determine the safety and the efficacy in sufficiently large number of people with the COVID infection. And if safety and efficacy are adequately proved, clinical testing may be stopped, and NC advances to the, that is new chemical entity advances to the new drug application and start beginning the marketing. Phase 4 is the post-approval trials. That may be a condition attached by the FDA, and also the post-market is also called as post-marketing surveillance studies. Like this, the many of the drugs are which are repurposed drugs or repositioning drugs are being given the emergency authorization by the US FDA, and getting the clinical challenges in different hospitals in different countries in different continents. And there are some adaptive designs for COVID-19 trials. A clinical trial design is in progress, may be modified as an adaptive design if accumulated data in the trial provide early insights about positive or the negative efficiency of the treatment. Adaptive designs within ongoing phase 1 and 2 clinical trials on candidate therapeutics may shorten trial durations, use fewer subjects, possibly expediting the decisions for early termination or success. And for this, WHO has been given an international solidarity and discovery trials. In March, recently in 2020, the World Health Organization launched the coordinated solidarity trial in 10 countries and 5 continents to rapidly access in thousands of COVID infected people the potential efficacy of existing antiviral and anti-inflammatory agents not yet evaluated, especially for COVID-19 illness. That is repurposed or repositioning of the drugs of same antiviral and anti-inflammatory drugs. The individual or combination of the drugs undergoing initial studies are lopinavir and ritonavir combined with the interferon beta or remdesivir or hydroxychloroquine or hydroxychloroquine in synergistic effect with antibiotic like azithromycin. These all the drugs are in separate trials in different hospitals internationally, and the studies published on safety concerns on HCQ, that is hydroxychloroquine. The WHO suspended use of it from the solidarity trial in March 2020. And adaptive COVID-19 treatment trial. Uh, This is the US National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases initiated an adaptive design, that is international phase 3 trial called ACTT, Adaptive COVID Treatment Trial, to initiate up to 800 hospitals COVID-19 people to 100 sites in multiple countries. That is beginning with the use of remdesivir as a primary treatment over 29 days. The trial of its adaptive protocol states that there will be an interim monitoring and allow early stopping of futility, efficacy, or safety. And I have been tabulated the late stage treatment candidates, which has been used in different hospitals and different countries. Initially, remdesivir, it is an antiviral and adenosine nucleoside analog inhibiting RNA synthesis in the coronavirus, and it is still in the investigational research, and it has been trial sponsors are Gilead. Locations are China, Japan, US, and UK, and expected results are already been there, and now it has been it has been given the emergency authorization for use uh, in the effective of the coronavirus. And hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine, it is an anti-parasitic or and anti-rheumatic generic made by the manufacturers, generally made by the manufacturers. And trial sponsors are WHO and INSEM CEPI. And multiple sites in China, global solidarity and discovery trials in different locations like the US and this thing. So, favipiravir, this is the antiviral drugs against the influenza, which is mostly used in Japan. This has been given the DCGI approval recently in India, which has been effective towards the COVID-19, and the CSIR is taking the maximum of the data from different countries like Russia, China, and also different parts of the world. And it has been given approval in India by DCGI, where 200 mg tablets are being into the market and are given authorization to Glenmark to market the drug. And what the other repurposed drugs are lopinavir and ritonavir, with or without interferon beta, and that is antiviral or immune suppression drug. It is still in investigation, and the combination of the both, either lopinavir and ritonavir, are approved. And trial sponsors are WHO, UK government, and University of Oxford. And global solidarity and discovery trials multiple in multiple countries. And the other molecules, repurposed molecules, or sarilumab, which is the human monoclonal antibody against the interleukin 6 receptor, and rheumatoid, which is used in the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis in USA and Europe, and uh, tacilizumab. It is again a human monoclonal antibody against the interleukin 6 receptor. These are the repurposed drugs which are used in different countries, like UK, US, and in different parts of Europe, Russia, and China. And how the strategies for what are the strategies that for the COVID-19 treatment? That is the repurposing approved drugs. That is for different the different strategies for COVID-19 treatment, or repurposing the approved drugs and early stage COVID-19 drug candidates, and the categories of potential therapeutic against COVID-19, and the different inhibitors. So the repurposing drugs, as we have been discussed in the previous table, that is lopinavir, ritonavir, remdesivir, favipiravir, and different monoclonal antibodies. And the second one is early stage COVID-19 drug candidates, that is preclinical research, phase 2 trials. So phase 1 trial is the testing primarily towards the safety and the preliminary dosing in a few dozens of the healthy human volunteers. And the phase 2 is for clinically, it is further to safety in small, initially to identify the safety and efficacy of the same drug in disease targeted people. So this one, phase 1 and 2 are going on with the different repurposed drugs in the different countries, and getting the results that and what are the categories of potential therapeutics against the COVID-19? According to the source or the information from WHO, there are different categories of potential therapeutics. Those are in different, like diverse categories of preclinical or early stage clinical research for developing these therapeutic candidates, which include antibiotics. Nearly 61 antibiotic products are being tested in with the different this thing, and antiviral. There are 22 candidates and cell-based compounds, that those are nearly 15 candidates, and RNA-based candidates. There are nearly 6 candidates are being utilized in treating the COVID-19. COVID-19, and the inhibitors are okay. The main purpose of the SARS-CoV-2 virus was identified as a target for post-infection drugs. The enzyme is the essential to host cell to reproduce the RNA of the virus. To find this enzyme, scientists use the genome, to isolate the main protease. Protease inhibitors are approved by for treating of the HIV. The HIV drugs which we majorly known are lopinavir or ritonavir, and the other drugs which are antiviral are also being treated in different hospitals in different parts of the world. And 6 Indian companies are working on a COVID-19 vaccine. Nearly 70 vaccine candidates are being tested. At least 3 have been moved to the human clinical trials in different stages. But a vaccine for the novel coronavirus is unlikely to be ready for the use in the mass production by in the early stages of, I hope, in the 2021. These 6 big companies which are working on it are on the vaccines are Zydus Cadila, are working on 2 vaccines, and Serum Institute, Biological E, and Bharat Biotech, Indian Immunologicals, and Invex are developing one vaccine each. COVID-19 clinical trials, it's the total overview. 7 trials were evaluating repurposed drugs already approved to treat malaria, including 4 studies on hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine phosphate. Repurposed antiviral drugs make up most of the clinical research with 9 phase 3 clinical trials on remdesivir across several countries. Other potential therapeutic candidates under pivotal clinical trials concluded in March and April are vasodilators, corticosteroids, immune therapies, lipoic acid, and bevacizumab, and recombinant antigen converting enzyme 2. And the COVID-19 Clinical Research Coalition has goals to facilitate rapid reviews of clinical trials purposes by ethics committee and national regulatory agencies, and fast track approvals for the candidate therapeutic compounds, and ensure standardized and rapid analysis of emerging efficacy and safety data, and facilitating of clinical trial outcomes before publication. And I thank for giving this opportunity to give how the impact and the challenges are going on in the Indian and overall the international pharmaceutical companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay, for sharing your wonderful knowledge on the clinical trials drugs for the COVID-19. Now this session is open for audience. Audience can drop the questions so we can rise from Dr. Vijay.
So there is one question from Ramendu Mishra.
Hello, Harshanagar.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you, sir. So there is one question from Ramendu Mishra. What is the success possibility of VLB-based vaccine developed with decrypt technology by Premas Biotech Gargon?
Yeah, many researchers are working on different vaccines, and there is a possibility of success in different vaccine strategies. That is, maximum of the challenges are going on different stages. Like, yeah, there will be a success possibility for everyone, right? So there is no